What's good, everybody? It's the Connor with Cap Show. NFL Week 4. Shout out to my Indianapolis Colts getting a huge win last weekend. They're playing at home. They're playing against the LA Rams. And really, I like this matchup. Right now, the line is even. It's really a 50-50 coin flip. I just say that because we look at the Rams this year, obviously without Cooper Kupp for another couple weeks. And Matt Stafford this year has not looked too good. I mean, 2 touchdowns, 4 interceptions. It's just not really that great. And kind of the trade that they did with Matthew Stafford, and Jared Goff, I think it really wasn't that good. Even though, yes, Matthew Stafford did win a Super Bowl, but he also had one of the best receivers in the league, Cooper Kupp, just a lot of playmakers. Jalen Ramsey was on that team, obviously Aaron Donald. Like, their whole team was stacked. But I'm not trying to throw shade on Matthew Stafford. Yes, he's a good quarterback, but I just think now he's kind of declining in a way. He really is, and I think, once Cooper Kupp gets back, I think that'll be great. But, the run game's really nice for the Rams. They got Kyren Williams. He's got 3 tutties. Shout out to Kyren Williams, the ND boy. And then I just think for the Colts, Anthony Richardson is coming back after missing last week with the concussion. That's huge news for the Indianapolis Colts. I think the Colts can really steal this victory. I think they could go 2-2 here, which would be insane, right? Because obviously I thought the Colts would lose their first 4 games, really, just the way they've been playing. But the way they won the game last week in Baltimore, really got lucky on some calls. But, hey, a win is a win, and I just think for the Colts to win like that in that aspect in overtime was huge for the Indianapolis Colts, and the momentum shift just as a whole team in general, and not to mention Zach Moss. He's running great for the Indianapolis Colts. I just can't wait till Jonathan Taylor comes back. When is that going to be? Who really knows? Probably a couple weeks. I hope he comes back next week in week 5. I drafted him in one of my fantasy leagues, so it's like I have to have him, dude. I need him back here, which is crazy, but the Indianapolis Colts right now, they're on a different time zone, really, where it's just like, do we really need Jonathan Taylor? And the answer is yes, absolutely, you do. I just think the running back position in the NFL is just getting degraded by the year, and it's kind of sad. We need Jonathan Taylor. If we had Jonathan Taylor right now, I do think we would be 2-1 instead of 1-2 right now. So that's how much valuable Jonathan Taylor brings to the table. So I pray and hope he comes back. But in this matchup, Michael Pittman's due for a big game. I think, you know what? I'm going to go out on a limb and go my Indianapolis Colts at home. I'll take the even spread's nice. 46 is the over-under. I'll probably lean more towards the under, but I definitely like the Colts at home. Why? Anthony Richardson's coming back, and I expect him to have a big game here. Stay in the pocket more, throw the ball down the field. You don't have to have Anthony Richardson run it every time and take big hits. Because if you want to last in the NFL as a quarterback 10-plus years, 15-plus years, these are the type of plays where you're not going to get hit, dude. Like, how did Tom Brady last 2 decades in the NFL? By not getting hit that much. Like, that's how you're going to end up lasting. But I like the Colts here at home. I like them to beat the Rams. Now, watch the Rams blow them out. I'll be devastated, but I won't be surprised either. I just won't. But I definitely like my Indianapolis Colts to get a dub, 24-21 over the Rams. I can't wait for this matchup. Go Colts! And then we got the Tampa Bay Buccaneers versus the New Orleans Saints. A nice division matchup. Saints are 3-point favorites. Both teams are 2-1. We look at the Saints. Derek Carr's out with the shoulder sprain. He'll probably be out a couple more weeks. But this gives leverage to Tampa right here, to Baker Mayfield and Jameis Winston to start for Derek Carr. And he's playing against his former team. So we know the Tampa Bay Buccaneers and New Orleans Saints, they hate each other. It's a rivalry. And I think, there's some heat between them. I remember Mike Evans got in a fight with Lattimore a couple years ago, a brawl on the field. And I think that was Tom Brady's first year there, which is insane, right? But I just think there's a lot of history. But for the Bucs' sake, Mike Evans is the X factor offensively. Baker Mayfield's got to get it to Mike Evans. I mean, Mike Evans is that guy. He's about, 6'3", 6'4", just a big target, can jump over you, just do a lot of different things as a wide receiver. So I like Mike Evans. This year, about 300 yards receiving and 3 touchdowns. I think Baker Mayfield really has surprised a lot of people with 4 tutties and only 1 pick this year. He's playing solid football. He really is, so I got to give him credit with that. But you know what? I'm going to go Saints here. I think the Saints are going to win at home, even without Derek Carr. And I think Jameis Winston, this is a big game for him. Playing against his former team, I think he's going to be hyped up. I think he's going to be on his P's and Q's and throw a great game, like 3 touchdowns for Jameis. So I think in fantasy purposes, it would be nice to pick up Jameis. If you have a, starting quarterback on bye week or hurt right now, Jameis Winston would not be a bad scoop up in fantasy. Jameis Winston, I'm telling you, hopefully he doesn't have any, crab meats on his fingers, but I'm telling you, Jameis Winston is going to start. And then Chris Olave, 22 receptions, over 300 yards receiving for the Saints. Look to see him get in the game early and just take off from there. So I like the Saints to win barely. I'll probably take Saints money line. I think it's going to be a 1 or 2 point game, but I definitely like the Saints at home over the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. 40 is the over-under. That's tricky. The over-unders are so tough. They really are, but I like Saints over the Bucs. And then we got the Atlanta Falcons versus the Jacksonville Jaguars. Jaguars are 3-point favorites. Look, the Jags last week, they fumbled the ball. They stumbled. They lost to the Houston Texans. Really got blown out. And I think this is a game where Trevor Lawrence needs to step up here and say, hey, I'm the leader of the organization. I'm the face of this organization and just in general, just, hey, we won a playoff game last year. Let's go off that. Like, there's no reason for us to be losing games like to Houston Texans. There just isn't. Trevor Lawrence, only 3 tutties, 2 picks this year. Really a slow start. ETN has a touchdown. Christian Kirk, touchdown. Zay Jones, he's going to be out with a little knee tweak injury. He'll probably be out 1 or 2 weeks. But I think for Jacksonville, man, this is a game where you got to win here. You're at home. You just lost to the Texans. Like, you need to win this game. You need this win. And then Atlanta, Desmond Ridder, 2 touchdowns, 1 pick. And then Robinson, 213 yards rushing, the rookie out of Texas. This game is going to be played in London, which is crazy, right? It's going to start at 9:30 Eastern time on the East Coast in the United States of America, which is crazy. But in London, that's awesome. I think this game is really a coin flip game. I'm leaning right now, just from what I've seen from both teams, I'm leaning more towards the Atlanta Falcons here. I think they're a little bit more complete team. They got Drake London. They got Robinson. Desmond Ridder's playing good. So I think right now, Atlanta Falcons, I'm leaning more towards Atlanta to get the upset here. Even though I do think Trevor Lawrence is the X factor to Jacksonville success this year. If he's going to throw for 3-4 touchdowns a game, 0 picks, mistake-free, they're going to win a majority of their games. So I think, obviously, if Trevor Lawrence has a great game this game, Jags are going to run away with it. But right now, I think Atlanta's going to squeak out an upset victory in London. I can't wait for this matchup. 43 is the over-under. I'll probably go with the over, but I like the Atlanta Falcons to upset the Jacksonville Jaguars barely in London. I can't wait for that matchup. And then we got the matchup of the week. This is the best game all weekend. It should be the Sunday Night Football game, really. We got the Miami Dolphins versus the Buffalo Bills. Bills are 2.5 favorites. Look, Bills, the last 13 meetings against Miami, they're 11-2. So, and they've won 7 straight in a row. Like, dude, this is crazy right here. And not to mention, Miami has lost 7 in a row against the Bills. So I think for Miami's sake, they've had your number for so long. But right now, just eye test in general, Miami Dolphins are a top 3 team in the NFL right now. The way they're playing, the way Tua's playing, over 1,000 yards passing with 8 tutties, only 2 picks. And then you got Moser, you got Jalen Waddle, who's supposed to be back from a concussion. You got Tyreek Hill, 4 tutties this year, over 400 yards receiving. So Miami Dolphins right now are the hottest team in the NFL. Them in San Francisco. And you know what? I'm going to go Miami here. I think Miami finally gets their first dub in Buffalo. I really do, even though Josh Allen started off slow, but they've caught a second wind here. And Josh Allen, 5 touchdowns, 4 picks. Obviously, his favorite target, Stephon Diggs, 279 yards receiving and a touchdown. We'll see that duo all year. In this game, I think Miami's got to double Diggs. You got to. Take away Diggs, because Diggs is their X factor here offensively. That's who they go through. That's Josh Allen's guy. That's who we trust. That's who he wants to throw the ball 10-plus times a game. So I think for Miami, you got to stop that. You have to. And not to mention, shout to Damar Hamlin. He's going to return. We remember last year he really had a heart attack, or his heart stopped beating on the field. They revived him on the field. And I remember this game. I believe it was a Monday night game in Cincinnati. And Damar Hamlin came back to life, which is amazing. And now he's going to play back his debut since that game. So it's a little scare, a heart issue. I don't know. Prayers up to Damar Hamlin and his family to have a successful game tomorrow. I mean, what a game to open up against the red-hot Miami Dolphins. I'm telling you right now, but I like Miami in this matchup. I think Tua's locked in. I think Tyreek Hill, no one's going to stop him on Buffalo, and Buffalo's going to have a hard time defensively against this offense. That's just how it's going to go. Now, for Josh Allen, for offensively, for his side, yes, you're going to have to score touchdowns. You're going to have to go touchdown for touchdown with them. Like, that's essentially how you're going to beat beat the Miami Dolphins right now is scoring touchdowns, not field goals when you get in the red zone. So I think for Josh Allen offensively, you got to score touchdowns when you're in the red zone, because if you don't, you come up short. Really you're setting yourself up for failure here by kicking field goals. We have Tua here over 1,000 yards passing this year, dude. Like Tyreek Hill, Jalen Waddle coming back out of Alabama. I'm telling you, dude, Miami Dolphins are red hot. I'm betting on them just because I'm riding the heater right now. So I like the Miami Dolphins to beat the Buffalo Bills in Buffalo. I can't wait for this matchup, man. Two teams that we're going to see later on this year, maybe even in the playoffs. I can't wait for this matchup. And then we got the Denver Broncos versus the Chicago Bears. Both teams are winless. Both teams are 0-3, which is really sad, right? I mean, you just look at it and say, man, dude, like what went wrong? With Russell Wilson, it's just he's not there right now. I think mentally, physically, emotionally, spiritually, he's just not in the football atmosphere right now. Maybe outside of the field is different, but right now, I just don't see the same Russell Wilson. I think he'll probably be benched, like I said before, eventually this year sometime. For Sean Payton, what a coach he is. I just come up with something. You guys are 0-3 right now. This is a game where you guys should win. You're going into Chicago, and the Bears are just absolutely terrible. They're looking like the worst team in the NFL right now. And I think for Justin Fields, he's got to step it up. 3 touchdowns, 4 picks. He does have 109 yards rushing and a rushing touchdown, but other than that, it's just Justin Fields and DJ Moore. DJ Moore has a touchdown this year, 170 yards receiving, but I just think it's not enough right now. Both teams are terrible, but right now, you know what? I'm going to go Denver at 3.5. I think Russell Wilson, this is a good week to start Russell Wilson on your fantasy team. Why? Because you're playing against the Bears, dude. The Bears are absolutely terrible, dude. They suck. I'm telling you, I just think Denver's going to run through them. I really do. Even though Denver's terrible, too. I mean, between two terrible teams, right? It just is what it is. 46.5 is the over-under. I'll probably go with the under here. I just think both teams are just absolutely miserable, dude. They just really are. It sucks. I'm not going to be paying attention to this game. I don't think a lot of people are, even their fans. I mean, Chicago Bear fans, dude, it's been miserable. I mean, you guys haven't won since, the 80, 85? What's it like? It's been so long, dude. So many decades. Dude, was payphones available in the 80s? I don't even know. That was so long ago, but I like Denver over the Chicago Bears. I'll take Denver and Russell Wilson and Sean Payton all day over the trash Chicago Bears. And then we got the Ravens versus the Cleveland Browns. Browns are 1.5-point favorites here. This is interesting. Deshaun Watson, he's questionable with a shoulder injury right now, so I'm going to definitely keep an eye on that. If Deshaun Watson does not play here, I'm definitely going Baltimore 100%. Regardless, I think I'm going to lean more towards Baltimore here. Yes, they did fumble the bag last weekend, but I think Lamar, he needs more help. This year he's got 2 rushing touchdowns, 2 passing touchdowns. He does have Zay Flowers, the rookie. That's really his guy he goes to right now. Him and obviously Mark Andrews, he's got a touchdown. I think them 2 guys alone, that's who Lamar trusts the most offensively. But he needs more weapons around him. If he wants to win a Super Bowl in Baltimore, they need better weapons. They just do. They really do. OBJ, he's out with an ankle injury. I just feel like now OBJ, what a receiver, what a talent Odell is. But at the end of the day, Odell is not what Odell used to be. He's just not that explosive. I don't see the hunger anymore in Odell. I mean, he made millions of dollars. Shout out to Odell. But I just think right now Odell's kind of on the outside looking in now. I think, eventually in the next 3 to 4 years, I think Odell's going to retire. I don't think people are going to really want him like that anymore. So I think Odell this year, he's got to get back in the groove and prove to us that he's an elite receiver. Because I haven't really seen much this year, OBJ. I just really haven't. But on the flip side, the Browns, they got a nice defense. They really do. They put pressure on the quarterback. You got Amari Cooper. He's nice. But I'm going with the Ravens here. I think Lamar's going to really just show why he's one of the best quarterbacks in the NFL today. Why he's a top 5 quarterback. This is the game to show right here. This is a showcase game for the Ravens, and this is where they need to get this dub here. Get a win here, so I like the Ravens over the Browns in Cleveland. 39 is the over-under. I'll probably go with the over. I think the Ravens right here need to start off fast with Lamar, throw the ball down the field, just like we've seen in the past. So I like the Ravens and Lamar Jackson to take off against the Cleveland Browns. And then we got the Pittsburgh Steelers versus the Houston Texans. Pittsburgh Steelers are 2.5-point favorites. They got their boy Kenny Pickett, 4 touchdowns this year, 3 picks. He's really caught on the past couple games. I will give him credit here. You know, you got Najee Harris, who has not looked too good ever since he got in Pittsburgh. I think Najee Harris is eventually due for a big game here. Is this the big game against the Houston Texans? I think so. I don't think the Texans have that good of a defense. So if you're Najee Harris, you know, I think you run here. You run a lot on Houston, utilize the play action with Kenny Pickett, but I'm telling you, run first here with Najee Harris. That's what you need to do, so I can't wait for that matchup. Then you got George Pickens, who's really caught on. He's got a touchdown this year. And then not to mention one of the best defenders in NFL, TJ Watt. He's got 6 sacks and 2 forced fumbles, dude, in the first 3 games. That is crazy, dude. TJ Watt is playing hungry. He's aggressive. Dude, he gets to the quarterback really whenever he wants. So I think, you know, I'm going with the Pittsburgh Steelers here. They're 2.5-point favorites. Even though Houston did look nice at home last weekend, they really did against the Jacksonville Jaguars. C.J. Stroud, 906 yards passing with 4 touchdowns. C.J. Stroud has surprised me, I'll be honest here. The second overall pick this year, he's looked better than Bryce Young so far. So I think that is huge. You got Nico Collins. He's got a touchdown, 260 yards receiving. I think this game's going to, you know, come down to the third, fourth quarter. But overall, I'm going Pittsburgh here. I'll take the 2.5. I think Kenny Pickett, like I said, and Najee Harris is due here. And I think T.J. Watt's going to put pressure on C.J. Stroud. That's how you beat the Houston Texans. Put pressure on the rookie quarterback. Make him force into double coverage. Force him into bad throws. That's why I'm going Pittsburgh Steelers over the Houston Texans. 42.5 is the over-under. I'll probably lean more towards the over, but I definitely like the Pittsburgh Steelers over the Houston Texans, baby. And then we got the Minnesota Vikings versus the Carolina Panthers. Both teams are 0-3, which is surprising to me. We look at Minnesota Vikings, they're 4.5-point favorites, and realize, how are they winless right now? You got Kirk Cousins, you know, he's been balling out, really, over 1,000 yards passing with 9 tutties and 2 picks. And then you got Justin Jefferson, arguably the best receiver in the NFL right now, 458 yards receiving and a touchdown. So, obviously, I'm going to go Minnesota here, even though it's in Carolina. Bryce Young is coming back. You know, Adam Thielen's playing against his old team that he played with Minnesota for about 10 years. So there's definitely going to be some hunger, some fire there from Adam. He's got 2 touchdowns this year, but I'm going Minnesota at 4.5. I think Kirk Cousins is going to cut the Carolina Panthers secondary up, and I think Justin Jefferson's due for another big game. That's who Justin Jefferson is. He gets open when he shouldn't get open, right? But I'm telling you right now, I like Minnesota here. There's no reason for Minnesota to be 0-3, dude. Like, that is crazy to me. How is Minnesota Vikings 0-3? Well, it is kind of, they do have a trash defense in a way, but Kirk Cousins, he's going to keep balling out, and I like the Minnesota Vikings to cover this. I think Minnesota's going to win by 10-plus points. That's how I see this game going, so I like the Minnesota Vikings over the Carolina Panthers. 46.5 is the over-under. That's tough. That's really tricky. I'll probably lean more towards the over, but I definitely like Minnesota over the Carolina Panthers. And then we got the Washington Commanders versus the Philadelphia Eagles. Philly's 9-point favorites. Philly looking to become 4-0 yet again. And I think for Philly's sake, man, this is a nice NFC East showdown. But Jalen Hurts, kind of a slow start, 3 touchdowns, 3 picks. But DeAndre Swift, he's caught on recently, man. He's a good fantasy running back. He's got a touchdown this year, over 300 yards rushing. You got A.J. Brown, 239 yards receiving. Devontae Smith, over 200 yards receiving and 2 touchdowns, who's on my fantasy squad. So I see the Eagles winning this soundly. You know, what I saw last week from Washington, they got blown out. Sam Howell threw for 4 picks. He's got 5 picks overall with 3 touchdowns. You know, Brian Robinson Jr., good running back, 2 touchdowns this year. But I think for Washington Commanders, they got to expand more. You know, they got to, for Sam Howell, he's got to make better plays. You know, we saw in the first 2 games him do that. But, you know, yeah, last game against the Buffalo Bills, he stuck up the joint. He really did, but I like Philly here at home. You know, you're playing against the Washington Commanders. I do think it's going to be closer than what they're expecting it. The money line's the better play for Philly, but I'll go Philly here. I think Jalen Hurts and the Philadelphia Eagles are on a mission. Even though Jalen Hurts hasn't started off as I would like him to start off, you know, throwing it, you know, 4 touchdowns a game. That's just not happening right now, but he doesn't need to do that. That's the thing. Jalen Hurts doesn't have to start off great. They're 3-0 right now. They're looking to be 4-0, and I think they will, so I like Philly. 43 is the over-under. I'll probably lean more towards the under, but I definitely like the Philadelphia Eagles over the Washington Commanders. Jalen Hurts is about to take off this game. I can't wait. And then we got the Cincinnati Bengals versus the Tennessee Titans. Bengals are 2.5-point favorites here. Joe Burrow has not looked good the first 3 games. He just really hasn't. They were lucky to get a squeak-out win last weekend against the Rams. They really were. But for Joe Burrow, this is his time where he starts to hit his groove, right? You know, he's got 2 touchdowns, 2 picks this year. Not to mention Joe Mixon, 180 yards rushing and a touchdown. You got Jamar Chase, 211 yards receiving. T. Higgins, he's got 2 touchdowns this year. I look for Jamar Chase this game right here. This matchup against Tennessee, I think Jamar Chase is going to carve up their secondary, and I think Jamar Chase is due for over a 100-yard receiving game with a touchdown or 2 touchdowns. So I like Bengals here. I'll take the 2.5. I think, you know, the Titans, man, they're kind of on the downhill. You know, they still have Ryan Tannehill. Nothing's changed in Tennessee. They're still trash, you know, subpar. You know, Ryan Tannehill has 1 touchdown and 3 picks. That should tell you everything you need to know in Tennessee right now. And Derrick Henry has not looked good. They're just overworking Derrick Henry. He's got 1 touchdown. DeAndre Hopkins, 153 yards receiving for the Titans. But I just think overall, man, I'm going Bengals here. This is another easy game for the Bengals that they should win clearly. They should have had to win this game by, 4 points. They should be winning this game by 10-plus points here. So I like definitely the Bengals. I like Joe Burrow to get back in that groove, and the Cincinnati will be back at 2-2, looking nice after week 4. I can't wait for that matchup. And then we got the Las Vegas Raiders versus the LA Chargers. Chargers are 4.5-point favorites here. And I think, obviously Chargers have had their number recently. So I'm going to go Chargers at 4.5. You know why? Because Justin Herbert, 939 yards passing with 6 touchdowns. Austin Eckler, he is questionable with the ankle injury, which is huge, right? I mean, Austin Eckler, top 3 fantasy running back. Absolutely, dude. He can run, he can catch, utilize those screen passes. So, and then Keenan Allen's been snapping over 400 yards receiving and 2 touchdowns. Keenan Allen on my fantasy squad put up 43 last weekend. I expect him to have another big weekend. I can't wait, man. The Las Vegas Raiders, Jimmy G is questionable with the concussion. Like I said, Jimmy G, he's a good backup quarterback. You need somebody new in Las Vegas, man. You need a fresh rookie quarterback. Somebody that's hungry. Somebody that's not just, hey, I'm just going to do everything by the book, not really take many chances here. That's Jimmy G, dude. Okay, that's why they didn't win the Super Bowl against Kansas City back in 2020. They didn't take enough chances. But I just think, Josh Jacobs, he's due for a big game, dude. He's on my fantasy squad and really hasn't been putting up fantasy numbers that he did last year. I expect Josh Jacobs to rush for over 100 yards, get a couple touchdowns this game, even though they're going to lose. And then Devontae Adams been snapping off, 322 yards receiving and 3 touchdowns for the Raiders. I think this game is going to come down in the fourth quarter with about 8 minutes to go. But I do see the Chargers running away with this game. You're at home. You got Herbert, who everybody's high on tight and praise about Herbert. He's the next new coming good quarterback. But right now he's 0-1 in the playoffs. That's a reality for the Chargers right now. So he's got to prove more to me in the big boys in the playoffs rather than the regular season. But I like the Chargers. 48.5 is the over-under. I'll probably go with the over, but I definitely like the Chargers over the Las Vegas Raiders. And then we got the New England Patriots versus the Dallas Cowboys. Cowboys are 6.5-point favorites here. And look, we know Zeke. He's in New England. He's going back to Dallas, man. There's going to be some emotion. I mean, Zeke was drafted by the Dallas Cowboys and basically stayed his whole career with Dallas, I believe ever since like 2015, 2016. So I think 2016 was his rookie year. So for Zeke, man, it's definitely one of them like, man, dude, like, this is the house where I was like, they kind of born me here. Ever since I won a national championship at Ohio State, that next year I went to Dallas, man, and just been Dallas's number 1 running back for years, dude. And then it just everything fell off, man. And I think Zeke is due for a big game here, but I'm still going to pick the Dallas Cowboys, even though they got upset last week against the trash Arizona Cardinals. But for Dak, everything's on Dak. Dak, he's the beat of their drum, the Cowboys. I'm telling you right now, if Dak Prescott does not play up to his potential or like what they think Dak Prescott is, obviously the Cowboys are going to lose again in the playoffs. That's just what's going to happen. But this game, they should win this game. Tony Pollard, the running back now, he has 2 touchdowns. CeeDee Lamb, 273 yards receiving. But I just think for New England, man, they're so one-dimensional with Mac Jones, just kind of basic and plain, just like a plain bagel, no seasoning, no butter, no peanut butter, nothing on the bagel. It's just plain. That's who the New England Patriots are right now. They're plain. I don't see it. I see Zeke getting some love here because he's playing in Dallas, but overall, I like the Dallas Cowboys to cover the 6.5. They should win this game, and they need to win this game. 43 is the over-under. Probably lean more towards the over, but I definitely like the Cowboys over the New England Patriots in this matchup. And then we got the Arizona Cardinals versus the San Francisco 49ers. 49ers are 14-point favorites. Look, I'm going to go San Francisco, but I'm probably going to go money line here. That's a safer bet. Because, I mean, if you're taking the 14 points, that's a lot. It's already 14-0. I just think for 49ers, Debo's questionable right now with a rib injury. That's pretty big. But Christian McCaffrey, 3 touchdowns this year. Christian McCaffrey scored a touchdown ever since, I believe it was December 4th of last year. Of 2022, and he scored a touchdown every game, dude. That is insane. Christian McCaffrey, the number 1 running back in fantasy by far, dude. I'm telling you, McCaffrey's a dog. Brock Purdy, he just does what he does, man. 4 touchdowns, 736 yards passing. He just does enough. I mean, dude, he has so many great players around him. George Kittle, another great tight end. You know, there's just so many great players in San Francisco right now where they're, like, set up for success here. Like, San Francisco's set up to go run deep in the playoffs this year. San Francisco set up to have home field advantage and go to the Super Bowl. Like, straight up, they have the talent to do that. Now, on the flip side, Arizona, James Conner, they're really like, hey, they have a great running game, but that's about it. You know, James Conner, 266 yards rushing and 2 touchdowns. Josh Dobbs, 2 touchdowns. Hasn't been bad this year. You know, their starting quarterback for Arizona, he's looked pretty solid. But I do think, you know, 49ers should win this game, and they will. I'm going to go 49ers money line. 43's over under. Probably go more towards the over, but I like San Francisco here at home. You know, Brock Purdy's starting to catch on, getting better and better, looking better and better every week, and not to mention the run game for San Francisco with McCaffrey. I mean, I'm telling you, McCaffrey, probably the best running back in the NFL right now. You know, he's that guy, so I like San Francisco over the Arizona Cardinals. And then we got the Kansas City Chiefs versus the New York Jets. Kansas City, 9-point favorites on Sunday Night Football. I'm going to go Kansas City all day. You know, you got Mahomes, 7 touchdowns, only 2 interceptions. You got his boy Travis Kelce, who's, you know, rumored to be dating, you know, T-Swift, Taylor Swift. Shout out to Kelce, man. He's been, you know, improving his game on and off the court. Yeah, on and off the field. So Travis Kelce is a dog. I'm going Kansas City all day here. You know, you got the Jets, Zach Wilson. He's looked trash. Only 2 touchdowns, 4 picks this year. Just not that good. I think they need to bench him and start over here. You know, wait for Aaron Rodgers to get back next year because that's their only hope right now. Garrett Wilson, 165 yards receiving and 2 touchdowns. Breece Hall, and he's on my fantasy squad. He's got over 100 yards rushing, over 150 yards rushing. So I think, you know, Jets are going to utilize that run game. But overall, I just don't see Zach Wilson being that guy in New York. I just don't, dude. I'm going Kansas City all day. Mahomes, you got Travis Kelce, you got T-Swift, man. Shout out to Travis Kelce. Everyone's hating on Kelce. I'm telling you what, Kelce is a dog. Kansas City all day. I'll take the 9 points all day in this matchup. 41.5 is the over-under. I'll probably go with the over. For sure, I've been going with the overs recently, but I definitely like Kansas City over the New York Jets in this matchup. And then let me go back to the New England Patriots, Cowboys. 43.5 is the over-under. I said over. I'm going to go with the under there. I like the under. I think it's going to be a little bit low scoring in that matchup with the Patriots, with Zeke coming back. But I still like the Cowboys to cover 6.5. And then we got the Monday Night Football game. We got the Seattle Seahawks versus the New York Giants. Seattle's 1.5-point favorites here. And obviously, I'm going to go Seattle here. I think Seattle squeaks out a close victory. Saquon Barkley is questionable with that ankle injury. It's very important. If Saquon comes back and plays this game, I do think the Giants can finally get that upset that they need, dude. They need to get it back in the win column. They really do. Daniel Jones has not looked good. I've never really believed in Daniel Jones. I just haven't. I mean, a lot of people in New York might think, oh, he's the next Eli. No, dude, no way. He's got 2 touchdowns and 4 picks. That's just not enough. Even though Geno Smith is looking nice. 4 tutties, 1 pick. You got Kenneth Walker over 200 yards rushing and 4 touchdowns. You got DK Metcalf. You got Tyler Lockett. I'm telling you, Seattle's nice right now. And Pete Carroll is a smart coach, even though he had the worst play call in Super Bowl history ever when they played the Patriots. But I like Seattle here. I like them to cover the 1.5. I can't wait. I think the Giants are really a subpar team. You know, they're just not that good. But what a week for week 4 in the NFL. I can't wait. I can't wait for my Indianapolis Colts. I'm picking Indy to get the dub here. Right now, the line's even. That line might change come game time. But I think Anthony Richardson is the difference in this matchup. I think he's going to throw the ball down the field, 1 for a couple touchdowns, and the Colts win by a game-winning field goal by Gay. Take off, Gay. Take off, Indianapolis Colts. It's the Clouded with Cam show. Let's go!